All right, once again, we just took a look at jQuery library that adds an API to be able to manipulate the core DOM. Let's take a look at another library that's also very popular, the jQuery Ui library, which is an extension to the jQuery core functionality that adds all sorts of really cool interactions and behaviors, like for instance being able to drag elements around the screen, and also gives you for each one of the examples that are listed here on the right hand side, it shows the source, right, to be able to recreate that particular example on the top half, right? For instance, it's very easy to make something draggable. You just have a div, right? And then from within jQuery, you just refer to it like we've seen already, and you just call .draggable. How easy can that be, right? There's quite a few others. That's resizable. That allows you to resize an element, whether it's an image or a table or something that doesn't fit, right? You can resize it. Again, quite a few examples on the right-hand side and the source down below. And also the documentation of the API, right? So you can configure the behavior of each one of these widgets by all sorts of options that you can provide when you instantiate these, right? Another one that we're going to be using quite often in class, we're going to be using the sortable, right? Sortable allows you to make a collection sortable, like for instance a list of items or rows in a table, right? Anything that has like a container that contains many instances of items can be made sortable. So you can move elements up and down, right? And then see how things move away to make space for the other elements, right? Here's another one. Here's a nice example of using the same code to implement kind of like a game where you can move around elements on the screen, or you can create several of these lists that are connected to one another. So you can, for instance, drag from one and put them in another list, right? And just rearrange. You could build something like a dashboard, right? With these widgets, right? So that you can accomplish with these behaviors or interactions. Down below, you can see also several other behaviors that you can implement, such as like accordions that allow you to collapse content, right, and expand other content as you select, right? If you have something that's very big that doesn't fit, you have autocomplete, that as you type, right, it lists elements, and you can select. It has a date picker. Now the browsers already support the basic date picker, right? Although it doesn't look the same across all browsers, right? If you want to standardize and you want to be able to style or have some logic behind date pickers, you could certainly use the jQuery date picker, and that allows you to not only select a month or year and whatnot and have the basic behavior, but you can also have select multiple months, right? Or you can also localize it so that it's for a particular, if it's French or English or Chinese. Show weeks of the year as well. You can see what the weeks is on the left-hand side. I mean, you can customize it really nice. You have dialogues. You can pop up dialogues. You can make the dialogues draggable, modal, or animated, so that they show up. They show up, like a blind or modal, so that when it appears, right, you can't interact with what's behind, right? So it becomes modal. So all sorts of really nice behaviors here. Okay. So we're going to be focusing mostly on these interactions way up above. Right. So for instance, let's play around with Sortable because it's part of your assignment. Right. So let's look at Sortable. I've already downloaded the jQuery UI library. I'm going to load it here with a script source equal, and let's go up one, then down one, vendor, and let's do jQuery UI. There it is. Okay, there it is. I loaded it, and now what it allows me to do, now that I loaded that, it allows me to add some more behaviors to these elements. For instance, I could grab all the paragraphs. How many paragraphs do we have? Let's see. We have. Let's grab this here. Oops. Uh-oh. I didn't mean to do that. It's right here, right? This is our. We have 2 paragraphs here, right? So we could say, grab those paragraphs. Let's see. Grab all the paragraphs, and let's see. Oh well, actually we did it up here, didn't we? Well, let me remove that. Right here we did CSS. Let's do one more thing. Not only change the color, but also let's make them all draggable. All draggable. Right? And this does what you would expect. If I refresh, at first it looks like nothing happened, right? But as I start moving the element around, notice that it is completely draggable. Right? I can move it around, put it in a place, or I can move this other, but nothing else is draggable, right? The H1s are not draggable. Nothing is draggable, right? Only the paragraphs are draggable, right? Same thing, or I can instead of making these draggable, right? I can make all the H1s draggable, right? I can grab the H1s, all the H1 elements, and I want to make them draggable, right? So now only the H1s are draggable, right? But not the paragraphs. The paragraphs are not draggable anymore. See that? We have H1s are all draggable, right? But not the H2s. Okay? Make sense? Right? So you can add all sorts of really cool behavior to this, right? How about the line item here, the list over here? We could, after we have the line item, the list rendered on the page, we could make it sortable. We can make it sortable. Sortable. Right? And once we do that, for instance, now we can very easily just move elements around, and notice that the other elements move away to make space for the other elements, to the element that you're dragging around. Make sense? Everybody good? All right. But here we used a UL, right? Say I change it, and this is instead a table, right? And these are maybe table rows, right? Table rows, and we're appending the table rows. Let's see. Let's change this a little bit. Let's call this TRs, right? Let's create the TRs. Let's create a TD, and let's see. Let's create the TD here. TD, and let's append the text to the TD, and then append the TD to the TR, right? So we'll say TD dot append yourself to the TR, and then we're going to append the TR to the list. Yes. So now notice that this is a table. These are tables, and notice that I can change the order of the table just as well. So it doesn't really matter what it is, if they are divs or TRs, as long as they belong to some parent, and you make the parent sortable. All the children inside become sortable. They can be moved around. Okay, they can be divs, just like our widgets, right? In our widgets, in our example, those are divs inside of other divs inside of other divs. Yes. So we can apply the same behavior to the divs in our assignment. Yes. Yeah. Change what? What do you mean?
Like the text side.
The text. So okay. So if you look at what's happening here, notice what's happening. This is H1, right? So how would you move it, right? If you would move it, if you want to move it yourself, right? You would be changing the styles, right? You would perhaps putting the CSS position to be absolute and changing the top and the left and whatnot. And that's exactly what it's doing. Look what it's doing. It says position. It is modifying the style, right? It's setting the position to be relative. It's changing the left and the top to change. So as I move this, notice that the left and the top are moving. See that? Right? It's moving it. So that's how you would move it. That's exactly what it's doing, right? So everything you would expect to behave or misbehave, right, it would be everything what you would expect. It would behave exactly the way you would expect. Yes?
That is what will be bootstrap, because in bootstrap there was container, and supposedly you do something else with the container. How does bootstrap do?
The container, you mean like container fluid?
Yeah, something like that. For example, if I have a couple of tags in a container node,
Yeah, no, it should work just fine. Yeah.
how it works?
All right, we'll play around with it to let's apply this sortable. Let's apply it to the widgets, right? In our assignment. Yes.
I was going to say, it works fine because sortable works on siblings, right? So if you think about it like a DOM hierarchy, you could apply a sortable to any list of siblings. And it doesn't matter if it's a fluid container or not, it'll just rearrange them in the DOM, and however Bootstrap decides to render them.
So, but that's the case with sortable. But if we are using that draggable thing, so there we are not applying that draggable to one tag in there. So if to one of the property I apply draggable, and I move that thing out of that container, is there. Somebody down
So it's going to rearrange the DOM, but how to render the DOM according to Bootstrap style guide.
Yeah, it works. Let's see it as an example. All right.